Hello, hello. Hey, everyone.
Hello.
All the people and all the AI note takers.
Aline is Sorina's colleague at Reticlux. We were in the same cohort at IFC World Bank. She went to
No
Pan.
way.
Yeah,
The world is
Nice.
she with them. She's in the cohort, and I'm really proud of her. She's an amazing human being, and
She's great. She's great. I am also really excited that we managed to get her. Okay, well, hi everyone, and thank you for joining. I see a lot of familiar faces here. We have people from the previous cohort, from the new cohort, some other people who are interested on Scion and NatureTech. But why I'm really excited about this conversation. So I want to tell you that initially, our initial idea was that we're going to frame it around women in tech because it's March, 8th of March, Women's Month. But then I realized that a few years ago, I absolutely stopped accepting speaking invitations for Women's Months or like women's in whatever because we are so much more than just a woman in tech. We're all investors, entrepreneurs, amazing human beings who just happen to be women. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Um, it's not, it's going to be where we sit from, whether it's the classroom, the lab, or the public eye. And that's really shapes the way we think and what we prioritize and how we move. So also today, it's not going to be about only from what you're building, but how and where from you're building. So we're gonna explore the different vantage points. I know Sophia, you are still at school and being an entrepreneur, currently at school from what I can see. So it'll be very interesting to hear your perspective. Maria, you're a professor and an entrepreneur at the same time. So the way you're bridging academia with entrepreneurship would also be very interesting to hear. And Thea, you've been building in the public eye for quite intensively, which I really love seeing. You're speaking in Parliament and also shaping and navigating the conversation about nature tech and agri-tech. So your viewpoint is also very interesting. Thank you so much for coming. But before we dig deeper into questions, would love to do a short intro for each of you to tell us a little bit more about yourself and the company that you're building. So let's start with Thea, as you're on the left side in my virtual space.
here we are. Thank you so much for the amazing introduction and for putting this together to yourself and the entire Scion team. It's continuously an honor and a huge gratitude from my side and Proon-Tech team to be within the Scion network because it's worked so professionally and authentically for the past year since we connected. So again, I'm very grateful to have been with the Scion Accelerator and right now in this conversation. It's great to see all the familiar faces and excited to hear the conversation moving forward and to engage with the people that are listening. My path began in actually when I was a kid, when I grew up in the countryside, and I interacted with my grandparents' farm, which was with crops, with livestock, and with fruit trees. Of course, here in the northwestern side of Romania, which is a powerfully agricultural area. And in the professional part, it actually started in 2016 working for an agrochemical company where I learned the entirety 360 degrees, all encompassing area of agriculture, the supply and value chain, creating active ingredients all the way to applying it and, toxicity and packaging and so on. So there was a cornucopia of information. And in 2020, I made the step to work exclusively with agri-tech startups throughout the world. And in 2024, I made the founder step with Proon-Tech, which is the startup that we went through the Scion Accelerator with. And it's been an amazing journey of learning, of development, of seeing this ecosystem from several vantage points, as you said earlier. And I continuously learn and meet new people every day, who bring their contribution and their experiences, their visions to this industry and this space. And I love it. I cannot get enough of it. I drank the Kool-Aid in many ways. I love it through and through every day.
It's been very inspiring to see how your journey as an entrepreneur evolves and the way you're shaping the public conversation now. It's a true power move. I love it.
I appreciate that. It was a very interesting aspect to showcase last week, to show how uh, technology and digitization and innovation can contribute to agriculture as critical infrastructure, for example, and nature, using nature, because this is why we're all here, to empower it through our efforts, whether they're founders or supporters of the ecosystem, academia, students. And I love this. I love seeing it. Thank you so much.
And with that, let's move to Maria. I know you gave the warning that your voice is not great, so if something happens, we're gonna switch to someone else. Don't worry.
Thank you for understanding and thank you for organizing. I'm very excited to be here. I am Maria Petrova, and I'm a professor of business and sustainability at the American University in Bulgaria. The reason we started Planet with my co-founder is actually very simple, but perhaps very powerful, at least for us. We are both mothers, and like many parents, we think very often about the future our children and grandchildren will inherit. And we know that climate change, biodiversity loss, sea level rise, flooding, these are no longer distant issues to us, but they are part of the cities where our families live. So, Biljana, my co-founder, and I um, uh, look at the same issues from different perspectives. Biljana is a landscape architect, and she's trained to design spaces, urban spaces, parks, public spaces where people live and spend a lot of time. I, on the other hand, am an environmental scientist, and my work has focused on understanding environmental systems and how policy and science can help us develop decisions for our problems, better decisions. So for years, actually, Biljana and I have been asking very similar questions. And those questions are, how can we value nature or make the value of nature visible and measurable? Because very often we disregard the value of nature when we make planning. It's easy to estimate the value of concrete, steel, but nature is somehow seen more as an addition, as a decoration, if you want, as an aesthetic. So we all know that nature, though, performs critical functions. We know that trees cool cities, green walls reduce energy demand, vegetation captures carbon, and green spaces improve mental well-being and lead to community development. So decision makers and planners and investors often lack the tools to see all of these, the value that nature brings to the table. And that is why we started Planet. So Planet is a nature-based platform that helps quantify the environmental and economic benefits of nature solutions and for urban environments. So our goal is to make nature visible in data, visible in planning, and visible in investment decisions. We often say that nature is the most powerful technology that we already have, but we need better tools to integrate it into how we design cities. And that is why we started Planet.
Love it. So many of the things you said resonate. Just starting with the story of that, both you and Biljana are mothers, and you're doing this for the next generation. Just wanted to plug in a fun fact about Scion. I don't know if you guys know, but Scion has two meanings. Uh, Thea knows very well what's one of the meanings because one of your product is called Scion. How would you describe it, like in your um, in the use case for you, Scion? Oh, you're muted.
The concept for us started as the first sprout, that young little sapling that is bringing forth the promise of the bigger picture. So
I
kind of
love this. So when I found the meaning of the definition of that word, then I dig deeper, and Scion also means for the next generation. So everything that you said resonates like quite deeply on a deeper level. And another thing that I really loved, you said you're making value of nature measurable and visible, right? With Scion and the whole idea of science society and the community that we're building around the accelerator, we want to make nature tech investable. So the kind of like the motto that we're our North Star is that nature regeneration is inevitable and it can be investable. So a lot of the things you said resonate, and I'm sure we can dig deeper later on. But Sophie, want to give the floor to you? Would love to hear more about you and BioBliss.
So, hello from me. Thank you for the warm introduction and for inviting me to participate and to represent BioBliss. I'm a high school student, and both of my co-founders are high school students. We started as three friends, classmates, and just as a simple student project. Together with Alexandra and Victoria, last year we developed BioBliss, and our idea is to tackle an issue which I think we can all agree is becoming increasingly important, that our lives are very dependent on batteries. Doesn't matter if it's from phones, laptops, devices, remotes, even the electric vehicles that we use are powered by batteries, and those batteries can be amazing for us to have this access to all this technology, but they come with a great cost, and this is mining, this is limited resources, geopolitical dependency, and then of course a huge environmental cost. And so our simple solution in words, not so simple in technology, is that we take away this lithium from batteries and we use bio waste instead. So this can be agricultural waste, organic waste, even plastic bottles are a type of bio waste. And we offer a more affordable, of course, more sustainable and an easier to produce solution for those batteries. So that's from me.
Exciting. It always brings a lot of joy to my heart when I see the three of you together in events, and we would love to help with your development as much as we can. But as you have the floor, let me start with the first question to you. Um, what's been the hardest part of balancing being a student and a founder? What's, let's say, something unexpected that happened for you?
The hardest part is actually, as you said, the balance between, let's say, homeworks, assignments, school projects, because I am in an entrepreneurship profile in my school, but I still have other assignments that I need to complete. And for us, really, BioBliss, it's never been an assignment. It's always been a passion and a commitment. And our hobby is BioBliss, our free time is this, and everything is this. And sometimes you need to step aside and say, okay, I need to finish my stuff. I need to be done with this. I need to prepare my presentation for tomorrow or study for my test. And then I can continue with BioBliss, because sometimes you can get carried away.
I mean, that's great. People say, find what you love and you're never going to work a day in your life.
Exactly.
But something that I'm also curious, obviously, I think your generation sees the inevitability of climate change very clearly. And is there anything else? What do you think your generation sees or understands about nature tech that others might miss? And Marie, I'm going to ask the question to you because you also see so many other students. So Sophie, let's start with you, and then we're gonna move to Maria.
I feel like for my generation, because we've obviously grown up surrounded by those global issues and we've talk about them at school and at home. For us, it's more not like feeling powerless. We are living among this. What are we going to do? But feeling responsibility for taking care of those problems. And for me, especially being surrounded by so many students every year, there's new and new startups coming from our school, and all of them, most of them, I would say, are tackling those environmental issues, climate change, this energy transition, and this responsibility that we have in us. You can feel it and you can sense it, and you can also hear it out loud in those presentations.
I love it. You feel more powerful. That's great. And Maria, what about you? You've worked with so many students as well, so I'm pretty sure you've seen their vantage points and ideas.
Yeah, I can say that for my generation, while environmental problems weren't being talked as something that's pressing, that needs an urgent solution, the younger generation, Sophies in particular, are the ones that are coming to class and asking, what can I do to change it and make it better? So seeing that urgency in young people is very inspiring for me. It's a huge change.
Love it. Tia, is there anything you want to add to this point? I see you've reached for the unmute button.
I'm just super excited to see this engagement and all of the generations that are. I think we're catalyzing each other. We're getting deeper into being more aware of what's going on and what our contribution can be. And we're getting more aware of what's in our control, but also like tapping into other founders and other players in the ecosystem. I think that's one of the most amazing things that I've seen going on in the past few years in this space in nature tech, like tapping into entrepreneurs, into people who think, maybe I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what's in my control. Should I use a paper straw while things are going on in the world? Yeah. So it's something that's actually meaningful in my eyes to see all of us connecting with each other beyond just, LinkedIn and stuff like that, like events and tapping into the network, the chats, the WhatsApp conversations. And that's what I love.
Yeah, there's definitely an interesting energy around NatureTech founders specifically. That's why I love working with all of you guys. And Maria, as we're on the topic, but like bridging academia and entrepreneurship, you definitely are the bridge between academia and entrepreneurship. What made you step out of the classroom and start building a company?
The realization that we need more practical solutions is the short answer. In academia, we are very theoretical most of the time, and we do research for the sake of research. And sometimes having practical solutions is something that we don't strive for. However, being in sustainability and environmental science, I think that's what's the most important thing that we can contribute, besides teaching students that they need to work towards finding solutions as well.
I always, at Scion, we're trying to find the intersection between all the scientists, startups, NGOs, and kind of build that conversation. And I'm always wondering what's harder. And hearing you, I think I'm probably not a question, but what's harder, bringing research into the real world or bringing real world problems into research? Because I know that academia likes to do research for the sake of research, but
So both, I think, are equally hard because in academia, we take a lot of time collecting data, validating data, checking data, and it takes a long time to publish a peer-reviewed paper, for example. And the whole process of fact-checking can be very prolonged and very frustrating to an entrepreneur. I think the questions that I sometimes ask when we develop solutions could drive Biljana crazy and many other practitioners because I need to verify every number. I need to know every citation, where everything comes from. So it slows things down, but it could be also very robust. On the other hand, I think practitioners trying to implement their solutions also can run into roadblocks, and you can have a great idea, but nothing is straightforward as far as its implementation is concerned. You have to validate it also. You have to convince the world that this is an idea that could be useful. So I think both of these things balance each other. And you need collaboration, which is
why Scion exists.
that's right. Yeah. And I think practitioners bring real world problems. Academics bring the methods and the evidence, and technology is what bridges the two. It brings them together, so it connects them. So without all these three elements, we can't create meaningful solutions.
I literally could not have said it better. Love it. And Sophia, I want to have another question towards you as well, because you're again in between academia and entrepreneurship. What pushed you to start now rather than wait and like finish school and then start a business?
Uh, Starting now is something that I've always said. It's because you never feel ready enough. You never feel like you know everything, like you have enough experience, especially for us. People either doubt us that, oh no, you dropped this in university, or you don't have enough experience. Okay, but that's why I'm going to university. So you shouldn't wait to feel prepared, ready. This is actually losing time, and you're losing time either for the planet to have this solution, or for you yourself to discover this new part of yourself. Because being an entrepreneur is I think, very different from any other job you can do, because you have the freedom of making mistakes and learning from them. And through learning from your mistakes, you actually become, let's say, not a mentor or role model, but kind of you can be of a good example to others. And that's what I like about starting so young, is because to all the students that are surrounding me, they're the same age as me. They're not very different from me, but I give them this kind of example. You can do this, and it's not scary, and it's not too early or too late.
I love it. It's all about taking action, right?
Yeah.
And Thea, I know you've been taking a lot of action. And you've been building Proon-Tech in the public eye, very visible, shaping the conversation, which I love seeing. But how does being such a visible voice influence how you build your company as well?
Ooh, I always love the questions you ask me, Rada, because they're spot on, and it's as many founders that at least I've spoken with in the past few years. At one point, I said, maybe I don't want to be in the public eye. I mean, I have to get things done. I have to build awareness, but at the same time, it's a lot of being out there, like putting yourself out there in many ways, whether you're speaking, whether I was speaking on events or technology, or agriculture, NatureTech, and so on. And I said, okay, never mind. My goal is to show people that agriculture and NatureTech and nature overall includes people that are working together, that look, act, and come from different backgrounds. And I think that's one of the most amazing things, that, of course, we're all working toward food and our environment, and those are basic human needs. And the more I'm getting into it, the more I'm dedicated toward having these meaningful conversations, my contribution to specific events or interactions, where I can speak about what we're doing, what our focus is. Because as a founder, as all of the people here in this talk, I'm sure, have dug so deep into their specific area, region, and industry of their startups and products, that they, again, I always say this, that they can be woken up in the middle of the night, be asked a question about that, and say specifically exactly what they're doing, and they know the whole canvas. And this is what I like to see. This is what I'm doing it for, because in the region and through the Scion Accelerator, actually, the awareness was significantly boosted when people saw the caliber of this event and the people that participated. Like, we had people from World Bank, from governments, from embassies that were interested, because the work is highly collaborative. You can't have nature doing it alone. So it's an adventure. I always say that I'm excited every time I get to speak anywhere, but I do it because as you said, you don't have to work a day in your life. You're just basically breathing it.
Love it. I mean, I think same goes for all the co-founders of Scion. I know most of you know the story, but we were kind of also brought together by this idea of, okay, well, we want to help NatureTech founders, but how? Okay, well, let's get the money. Let's make them investable. Let's help them grow. So having conversations online with you that I would have anytime without this being my job is just very grateful position to be in. So Thea, I know we talk a lot about narratives about climate, but which narratives about climate or nature you think we need to change?
Love this juicy question. I know Maria mentioned it earlier about investors in the space and needing the tools to understand. And one of my mission's pillars in the past few years has been gathering and actually tapping into the people that are maybe looking at NatureTech. Of course, impact investments have been going on for a long time. And I think one of the things that needs to be invested in more ways than one is trust. Trust in the products that are being built, in their pathways, in their go-to-market strategies, in the networks that are created around every startup. Because trust is such a frail thing nowadays, especially when we're working with nature. And to give an example, in our work with Proon-Tech, is that we're working with orchards and forests. And we're talking about orchards and fruit trees. If you make a mistake, it can cost farmers a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It can cost the growth of that tree, and it can, in certain ways, it can be you can't remediate that. You can't fix it anymore. So it's a loss. So I think it's something that supplies a lot of accountability. And the more accountability each of us has as a founder and as a contributor to this space, the more trust that we can build. And as Maria said earlier, and what I think we're all doing here, more or less consciously, we're contributing to this trust because we know our thing. We know what we're doing as much as we can as a human being. And what I love most is that we have that appetite and curiosity to learn more and to cover more knowledge and an image that is comprehensive about what we do. And that's how we can contribute to building more trust, so that investors are pulled into this space and begin to see that, okay, maybe your return on investment won't be this year or next year, but you bet your ass that it's going to be for the next generations, and you're going to be able to see it, and especially through the research parts, that you can actually begin to see it, whether it's on a microscopic level or a macro level, economically speaking. So a lot of us see the development, and through the public engagement and being present in targeted events and discussions, that's how we can show that the growth few people see can become something much more known.
Yeah, I think definitely I can speak from the investor side, in venture capital for the last 5-6 years. And to be honest, the amount of companies that we invested in that were focused on nature regeneration were so very few that, it just pains my heart. But definitely, I think that's a narrative that we need to change. And I'm glad you're saying this because this is one of the reasons we wanted to start Scion, and we started Scion, is to show that nature regeneration can be investable. It's just investors are still like so scared when they hear something that is not B2B SaaS. Uh, but it's an easy narrative and we could change it, and we're on that path.
It's cute that we are actually sort of a B2B SaaS working with organic material. So
Easy narrative to sell. Um, Maria, is there anything you want to add around the narrative? I saw you like nodding a lot through everything what Tia was saying. What narratives about climate or nature you think we need to change?
I wanted to mention something that piggybacking on what Thea was saying about the challenges that we often face in nature tech.
Yeah.
And there are so many of them, is what I was thinking. First of all, nature has been increasingly undervalued. As I mentioned, we can put a cost on cement, we put a cost even on a parking lot, but we rarely put a cost on a tree. And so we need to learn how to appreciate and provide value to nature. So we need to see nature more as infrastructure rather than as a decoration. And the second challenge I wanted to mention is that the lack of data availability. I just read today that the Sophia mayor has released a digital twin of Sophia with providing all geographic data available to anybody who wants to use it. You can even check what's going to be built in the lot that's empty next door. And there is a lot of public engagement you can create by that. So having the necessary data would make things much faster for people to work on. And the reason data is so needed is because data in each city is different, and different cities have different vegetation, different codes. So comparing those would only happen when we have the needed data. And the third challenge that I think we experience a lot in nature tech is that it's inherently interdisciplinary, that we have people who have diverse backgrounds in ecology, in economics, in architecture, and we need people who are able to bridge those languages. And part of the work, I think, is translating and bringing everyone together to develop better solutions.
It's continuing that discussion and conversation and bridging all the key actors, let's say. We have a question from Vihren, and it's a question to all three of you. What is the current most pressing issue you have to overcome to continue building? Sophie, why don't we start with you?
Well, for us, it's going to be the lab process. First of all, because we started in the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, and we would like to continue doing our research there, but because we're moving, two of us, to the Netherlands, we will also try to start doing something with our universities there, because the Netherlands offers a lot of different either grants or ways you can use the governmental laboratories or university ones. So it's kind of all this mix of both ways we can continue, or setbacks that, for example, in the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, we won't be present, or the people that we're working with also have other jobs. So let's say figuring this out and having a clear set plan for how we're going to advance in our TRL level is the most pressing issue.
That's always the hardware issue, right?
Yeah.
Maria, what's for planet?
I think for planet, one of the things that we need urgently is to convince people that nature is not a luxury in cities and it's infrastructure. Having them be able to see the value that nature can bring, because we know that trees can cool neighborhoods. Green spaces reduce energy that's needed for cooling. Vegetation can manage stormwater and bring biodiversity. Green buildings can improve productivity and mental health. But the question now, I think, is no longer whether we should invest in nature solutions, but how can we bring it to scale and do it faster? So we need people to understand that it's not something like a wishful thinking. It's not decoration. We need to do it.
It is the next step. Thea, what's for Proon?
Time.
More of it, more than 24 hours a day, because that's the problem I have.
Yeah, well, it's from two directions, Basically, the fact that we think we have time and the fact that nature takes time. As Sophie was saying earlier, for the lab activities, and of course Maria was mentioning that those things have to happen faster. In nature, basically, you can't rush nature. We've seen that the faster we act with intention and with our technology that we're looking to do good with while interacting with nature and with this organic material, with for all the startups in the Scion cohorts, time is something we think we have and that we're trying to make sense of and dance with, basically, because we want things to happen faster. At the same time, we can't rush growing fruit. That's that example with the 9 pregnant women won't give birth faster. So it's what we're dealing with, especially since nature and agriculture is they're seasonal segments. So you have to act now. This is why I'm happy to have these conversations. I'm happy to have these interactions where we're sharing our use cases, where we're sharing our technology, working with all those actors, as you said, Mirela, that we're trying to pull them in, to get them to contribute, to get them accountable, because we're all in this together. And as Maria was mentioning earlier, nature is actually, I see it as a luxury we could afford if we just looked at it and gave it our time.
So time and patience. My two favorites for this year. I know we're coming up to time. I'm going to give every one of you a chance to say something as a closing remark. But before that, I want to ask you one of my favorite questions. Because I know being an entrepreneur and from different point of view, whether you're from the classroom, academia, or the public eye, we're always learning every day, like how to navigate that role and that different vantage point. But what's something you had to unlearn as a founder? And I can give you an example from my life. I started my first company when I was Sophie's age at high school. And I was so convinced that I can do it by myself. I was looking for co-founders, couldn't find anyone who I vibed with. And what I realized, what I had to unlearn, is that you can't do everything by yourself. But it was a great lesson that I carry to this day. So I'm curious. We know we learn every day, but what did you have to unlearn?
Being trained in academia, we are always looking for perfect solutions. And I think one of the things that I've learned from being a co-founder and an entrepreneur is that we don't need perfect solutions. We just need useful solutions that we can improve faster. So that's something that I'm trying to constantly unlearn for myself.
Oh, I'm on that journey too, fellow perfectionist here. I can share my motto with you. When I get so deep into trying to make something perfect, I just say, better done than perfect, better done than perfect. And I repeat it in my head as many times as possible, as needed, you know?
And
And
I'm
entrepreneurs are so, sorry, Thea, it's so much better than academics because they can scale a concept much faster. They can build a prototype, validate it with users, put it on the market, test it. We take forever. So that's something that I'm trying to unlearn. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was segueing on Mirela's thing where my motto is done is the engine of more. Get it done, get it out there, do it, do it, do it. It's like I have to put it out there, and the more it's like creating ripples. It just gets further and further to people, and those people have their own ripples moving forward. That's what I wanted to mention. And to answer Mira's question, not necessarily something that I've had to unlearn, but I think it was just a different layer of filtering. So I do want to put our story, our mission to support food security, ecosystem resilience out there. But the one thing that I was the deepest lesson was to filter and qualify the people that I'm speaking with as advocates for our mission and our goals. And that's where I kind of had to let go of a lot of, like, for example, quality over quantity. So basically that.
Yeah, it's because also at the end of the day, you're the sole protector of your time. And sometimes you gotta cut conversation short for people.
Oh,
It's a
on
skill.
the topic of time, I would say because we've talked about having rapid decisions, not taking as much time, but because I like to always be pushy and have everything done. Maybe not as perfect. I'm not a big perfectionist, but I like to make things quickly, to have all things done. And on this journey, I've realized that you sometimes have to enjoy the moment because last year, when I was, let's say, more busy from school, I had, and I wanted to attend all these, even if it was forums, competitions, events, no matter what, I wanted to be there. I couldn't miss it if it was for BioBliss. And then this year I realized that I didn't enjoy every moment that we had. And now I look at pictures, so we talk about those moments, and I remember how rushed I was to go to the next one or to start the next thing or texting an email, something. And I now have started to appreciate all the moments that we have and all the moments that we're going to have.
That's a great lesson, and just celebrate those wins, celebrating the small wins. Um, I always have this picture in my head of a mountain climber who just got to the top, and then you're like, okay, great. And then at this exact moment, he's just looking on the right and sees another summit to to conquer. And I feel like in entrepreneurship and like high achievers, which are usually attracted by entrepreneurship. So it's not a surprise that most entrepreneurs are kind of high achievers. Like we've kind of stopped enjoying the moment of and celebrating that small win because there's always the next peak that you want to conquer. So that is a great lesson. Well, I think we've actually all gave like a pretty good life lessons as a closure. But is there anything else that you wanted to share, ladies, that you didn't get the chance to?
One thing that I'd mention and that I've learned through these years is that, again, talking to the right people is the most useful thing that you can do. Of course, you don't know who the right people are, but trust your instinct, and overall just have the faith that the people in this space have that uniqueness about them that's driving them to continue. And all I saw that all I had to do was just tell them about my story and why I do it, and they were immediately like catalyzed, like that spark in their eyes just lit. It was incredible. And I think this is one of the things that is such a beauty in what we do, that we have a gift to show people that they can also do this, whether they're students or researchers or any kind of man, woman, youth in science, technology, engineering, maths, in nature, in technology. It's just brilliant.
I wanted to say before when I said that you need to, and when you said that we need to start now and we shouldn't wait for the right time, it's also this courage that comes with starting now. And I think entrepreneurs and people in general should be more courageous about their decisions, what they want to do, and how they want to get along life, because being afraid and fearing mistakes or failure is something that's always going to stop you and set you back. And being courageous is just kind of, you become, as I said before, the example and the role model for others, and you kind of feel proud of yourself for being that.
And I can bring it back to the cities and to what we do. Most people will experience climate change in cities. In cities in Europe, 80% of people actually live in urban areas in Europe, and they're about 1 to 2 degrees hotter than the rest of the spaces. And although cities are the places where we'll have the most impact from climate change, I think they're also where we can create most powerful solutions. And we need to combine design, we need to combine science and technology in order to build cities with the infrastructure that makes them healthier and also more sustainable and resilient. And that's exactly what Planet is trying to do. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank all of you. Thanks, Tia, Maria, and Sophia. Conversations like this, it just makes me feel very rich and grateful for the fact that we've built Scion with the whole idea to work and be surrounded by people like you, and it just brings me immense joy. I hope everyone who joined today has left a little bit more, how to say, optimistic about our future with a few life lessons as well. We would love for you to fill out the feedback form. And if you want to hear more of the stories that we share, you can sign up to our newsletter if you haven't already. But thank you, ladies. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish an amazing day for everyone.